What's going on, everybody? Gentleman94 here. Welcome back to Ben Builds. We're here with the Albatros. This is episode number 4. So today I wanted to go ahead and get this fuselage all buttoned up. Now the oil paint's finally dry, so I've overcoated it with Future to help kind of protect it and seal it. And I wanted to do a quick oil wash on it, nothing fancy, because we're going to button it up. You're not going to see a lot in it anyway, so I think that will be just fine. Also, the engine is mounted into the front engine cradle, and the engine turned out beautifully. I really am very proud of it. You're not going to see much of it, but I love it. The cockpit itself, we have a very basic cockpit tub built up, ready to go. We have to add some paint, we have to add some belts, and that should be pretty much ready to go. We have a few other parts and pieces to go ahead and toss into the fuselage. So let's get the sidewalls finished up and then get this seat painted and get this thing ready for final assembly. So that went over very well. I'm very excited about that. So we are set to go ahead and button up that fuselage. But before we do that, I wanted to go ahead and add in some seat belts. Now, the kit comes with seatbelt decals, and that's fine, but I don't really want to use those. Instead, I want to go ahead and try to make my own. I don't know how well that's going to turn out, but you know what? I'm going to try it anyway, because modeling is all about learning and trying new things, and I haven't done a World War I aircraft before, so I want to go ahead and try to reproduce these seatbelts as best as I can. Per my usual routine when I've done this, and I haven't done a whole lot of this, but normally what I go ahead and do is take a little bit of our Tamiya tape, and we're just going to spread out a little strip of it. Yeah, right about there. So we'll cut that, and we're going to clean up the edges just slightly, so we'll slice it right there. So I'm going to make 3 slices, so I'll have 4 total belts. And I'm going to try to make these strips a couple millimeters in thickness. That should be decent enough. So there's 1 cut and 2 cuts. Let's go ahead and hit our 3rd cut. And we should be ready to go ahead and start making some buckles and some belts. Ooh, this is always nerve-wracking, but I think it'll turn out all right. Now for the buckles themselves, I'm going to be using this silver wire. It's probably too thick in terms of its size. The gauge is probably a bit off. I maybe should use something a little thinner, maybe some fuse wire, but I don't have any. So I'm just going to make do with what I have. I'm going to be making some form of a buckle here, like a little clasp. So let's go ahead and bend this and try to get it looking approximately like an actual buckle. I don't know how close I'm going to get this, but I think if we can get this bent up correctly, we can come back, take our tape, feed them through the loops at the end, and we should have ourselves very basic seatbelts. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, get these bent, and hopefully these will turn out decently. So now I have to go ahead and attach them. I'm going to be using some plain old super glue, and we're just going to glue them to the back of the seat, press them down, fold them, and make them look like they're draped over the chair. I'm going to do a little bit of trimming as well, so these aren't too long, and let's go ahead and glue these down. I think that looks pretty awesome. So I'm gonna let that dry off camera just a little bit, and we're gonna take some of this homemade wash of mine, and we're just gonna coat the inside of this with that wash. That's gonna darken up some of the panel lines, nothing too fancy. It's gonna add a little bit of depth to some of the recesses and get this ready to close up. So let's go ahead and weather this thing up just a little bit. So with all the weathering done on the inside of the cockpit, I'm happy with that. I think it's time to go ahead and close up the fuselage and get this thing done for tonight. Now I do have to say we have a little bit of a gap that's appeared on the bottom of the fuselage. I think we can close it up with a bit of super glue, so we'll have to go ahead and do that. But I'm going to use my Tamiya Extra Thin and work from the nose to the tail, and then work our way to the bottom side of that, also nose to tail, and just see what we can do. Thinking about the actual fuselage itself and all the rigging that needs to be done with this, I might want to experiment and maybe try to complete the entire fuselage before I add the wings and before I rig this thing up. I have to do some studying on how to do that rigging. I did actually pick up some easy line. I had one of my subscribers suggest that I go ahead and try that, so I went ahead and picked up some fine easy line wire. That should be decent for the actual rigging. We're going to move on to the tail here, and so far the top of the fuselage fits like a glove. Everything lines up, there's no major seams. However, you flip it over, and there is a very large seam that runs along the bottom of this, and that's not quite what I was looking for. I think I might have gotten some super glue kind of in there, so it's not allowing the pieces to fit flushly together, but that's my bad. Okay guys, we are done with the actual fuselage assembly. I think this is going to be fine. We'll let it dry. I'm actually fairly pleased. Everything looks clean, looks neat. There's not really that major seam here. The engine looks great, kind of sticking up out of that front cowling area right there. You can see the seat, you can see the seat belts. I think it's decent enough. You can get a little bit of a feel for the inside of the cockpit. We do have to do a little bit here and there, but the bottom side, oh boy, that is a major gap. We'll be using some super glue here to go ahead and close that up, but that'll be next episode. So thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you back here next time on Ben Builds. Until then, keep on building, have some fun, and we'll see you soon.